All right, kiddos, I'm going to be reading How to Eat Fried Worms. I'm on chapter 16, the sixth worm. Billy gulped it triumphantly, serene, untroubled. By the door, Alan glowered, his mind racing. He's going to do it. He'll win. What'll I do? $50. Joe sat on an overturned pail, whistling, gazing carelessly about, sneaking a glance now and then at Billy. What had gone wrong? Why hadn't he cracked? Outside, Tom lurked sheepishly in the bushes behind the stone wall, peering at the barn. So what's interesting about this chapter is they're all doing something differently. They're really, Billy's, it's a CNC before he's been just really struggling with getting the worms down, but now, not a problem. And we're really seeing there are so many conflicts here, aren't there? There's this idea of, well, is Billy going to get through all 15 worms? How could he? Where are they going to get the money? On both sides. So really interesting stuff. Chapter 17. I love that. Such a short chapter with you guys. Just not very much at all. Chapter 17. The seventh worm. Billy ate at offhand, sideways, reading a comic book. So it's not even fazing him. I love that. Alan and Joe squatted glumly in the barn door, watching him. As Billy was daubing horseradish sauce on the last bite, Tom's hand appeared in the corner of the grimy window. He waved tentatively at Billy. Ignoring him, Billy gulped down the last bite, wiped his mouth, tucking his comic book under his arm, strolled airily out the barn, remarking over his shoulder, "See you tomorrow, fellows." This is not a problem for Billy. Chapter 18. Oh, another short chapter. Now, 18. Oh, chapter 18, the eighth worm. "Where's Joe?" said Billy, spreading mustard down the length of the fried worm. "He couldn't come," said Alan suddenly. "It's no fair, putting on that much mustard." "Ha, ha," said Billy. "Who says? I can put on as much as I like, of whatever I like, and you know it. Why wouldn't he come?" "How should I know?" Billy swooshed a bit of worm around in ketchup and horseradish sauce. "I know why he didn't." "Yeah, you're so smart. Big deal." Alan couldn't get the $50 out of his head. What was his father going to say when he told him he'd bet $50 and lost? Jeez, he gnawed at his thumbnail. So this is again and again, this idea of Alan knows his dad is going to be angry. And this keeps coming up over and over again about this $50. It's coming up over again and again because we know this is a big problem. How is Alan going to solve this? He wouldn't come because he knows I've won. He knows I could eat 20 worms if I had to. Yeah. Well, you ain't won yet. There's still 7 to go. You act so big. Wait till you begin to feel it in your stomach. You think you know everything? Yeah, you wait. "Ha ha," said Billy. "You think you can scare me talking like that? Phooey." He strolled past Alan out into the sunlight. "Hi," said Tom, popping up from behind a barrel. "Phew," said Billy disdainfully, and walked on. Chapter 19, the ninth worm. Now, I notice that this chapter is a little bit longer. So we've been clipping through the worms. This is longer. I wonder if things are going to be changing. "That's not a worm," yelled Billy. "How can it be a worm? Geez, it must be 2 feet long." "It's a worm," said Alan stubbornly. "It's just like all the others. I rolled it in cornmeal and fried it." "It's over 2 feet long," screeched Billy. 2 feet. That's like 1 foot. So imagine a worm, like it's even off the screen. Oh my goodness. I don't think I could eat a worm this big. How about you guys? Ugh. He knew something was up. Otherwise, Joe wouldn't have come back, slouching in the doorway, pretending to be gazing up at the clouds. But Billy noticed he kept glancing at Ellen Alan and him. And Tom was peering in the window again. Something was up. Contrast and contradiction. Now something has changed here. So we're gonna see what's going on. Looks at Alan. I'll cut it. You can see for yourself. It's a worm. There, see. Come on, eat up. We ain't got all day. Joe and me have to go to Shishun with his father. Billy poked at the large worm with his fork. Something sure was up. He ate the piece Alan had cut, looking the rest of the worm over carefully as he chewed. He ate another bite. He'd forgotten to dip it into horseradish sauce. Come on, said Alan. Yeah, said Joe. Eat up, Billy, we gotta go. I'll never be able to eat the whole thing, thought Billy. It choked me. It's too much yuck at once. Yeah, 2 feet long. Half, he croaked. I'll eat half. This is some sort of ringer. There's never been a worm this long. Okay, said Alan. Then the bet's off. Suit yourself. Come on, Joe. He chickened out. Let's go. All right, said Billy, playing for time. The whole thing? You'll make yourself sick, said Alan. He's too anxious, thought Billy. What's going on? Leave him alone, said Joe. Let him eat it. It's his stomach. He's trying to cover for Alan, thought Billy. He ate another bite. Then he began to scrape the cornmeal carefully off the worm with his knife. What are you doing? Said Alan. I think I'll have it plain today. No cornmeal. That's not fair. You can't. Glue, scrowned Billy all of a sudden. Glue. You glued 2 crawlers together. Jeez, you bunch of lousy cheats. Tom, look what they did. Pull, glue. Panting, Tom bent over the plate. Your rice. Jeez. Alan kicked a pail, clattering around the wall. I told you it wouldn't work, he screamed at Joe. All right, so it didn't work. You couldn't think of anything better? That's cheating, said Billy. I ought to win right now. You cheated. 15 worms and 15 duggies, yelled Joe. You ain't won yet. But you cheated, shouted Tom. So what? They argued and yelled, striding here and there about the barn, sprawling against posts, flinging up their arms, kicking walls, banging down on a pail or orange crate, and squeezed with heads between their hands. It doesn't make any difference, Joe yelled at Billy. It didn't work. You didn't fall for it. If you'd eaten the whole thing and then found out it was 2 worms glued together, then you could have claimed to win because Alan was cheating. Big mouth, shouted Alan from the horse stall where he was kicking the slats in. Who thought it up? Not me. Who cares who thought it up, shouted Tom. It's still cheating. The pig looked in at the door and then wandered away. Joe ran out and stuck his head under the faucet by the kitchen door. A minute later, he came running back, dripping, yelling, That's not true. What's not true, said Billy, turning around from shouting at Alan. What you said. What I say? It doesn't make any difference. You're a liar and a cheat, and so anything you say isn't true. You're crazy. Even Hitler or Jack the Ripper sometimes said things that were true. It's impossible to lie all the time. Behind them, Tom lay down on his back and said, Ah! Alan and Joe and Billy turned to look at him. What's the matter with you? Ah! 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 Silence. A bird flew in and then out through a broken window in the loft. Well, said Billy. Yeah, I see what you mean. He and Alan and Joe sat down on the overturned orange crates. After a while, Joe said, Anyway, I was right. If Billy'd eaten it, it would have been cheating. But he didn't, so it's not. The bet's still on. The pig looked in at the door again. The pig's loose, said Alan. Look. Where? Said Billy. Oh boy, come on. We gotta catch it. He jumped up. The pig bolted. Whoo-wee, yelled Billy, dashing out. Tom and Joe and Alan scrambled after him. Checking on my time. I might not finish this by the time, but I'll keep reading after this. Chapter 20, Billy's Mother. Billy slumped at the kitchen table on one elbow, pawing in his bowl of Wheaties with a spoon. His mother was washing the breakfast dishes at the sink. But why isn't it good to eat hot dogs for breakfast? I know nobody does, but why don't they? Oh, Billy, said his mother, stop it. Finish your cereal. Well, but a knock on the screen door. Billy's mother glanced around. Oh, hello, Alan, Joe. Is your sister better, Joe? Yes, thank you. Billy can't come out until he's finished his breakfast. Would you like to wait for him on the front porch? We came to see you, Mrs. Forrester. Now, this is kind of a contrast and contradiction. The boys are coming to see the mother, not the boy. Normally, that wouldn't be happening. So I wonder what's happening. Oh, come in, Mrs. Forrester, said Joe as Alan shut the door carefully behind them. I don't know if you know about it already, but see, about a week ago, Alan made this bet with Billy about eating worms. If Billy could eat 15 worms, one each day for 15 days, then, Billy, you're still not eating them? Billy stuffed a spoonful of Wheaties into his mouth. Not just worms, Mom. I've been eating lots of other stuff too. Look at me, I'm healthy. Dr. McGrath told you that worms wouldn't hurt me. But Billy, Dr. McGrath didn't think that you're going to keep on eating worms. Joe nudged Alan and grinned. Mom, if 5 worms wouldn't hurt me, a few more won't either. They're little worms. Besides, it's a bet. They're big worms, Mrs. Forrester, said Joe, looking virtuous. We won't lie to you. My mother told me never to tell a lie. Manure, said Billy. Mom, it's a bet. I told you. If I win, Alan got to pay me $50. $50? Young man, don't you move from that chair. She went off into the front hall. Thanks, whispered Billy, but you'll see it won't work. Alan and Joe gazed nonchalantly at the ceiling, meaning they're kind of looking up like nothing's a problem. Billy's mother's voice came from the front hall. Dr. McGrath, I'm awfully sorry to bother you again. It's such a ridiculous matter, but since I spoke to you, Billy has continued to eat worms. No, it's nothing like that. He's acting perfectly normal. Otherwise, it seems he's made a bet with some other boys. One every day. He has to eat 15 to win his bet. Oh, thank you, Dr. McGrath. I'm so sorry to bother. She returned to the kitchen. But no more bets after this one, Billy, Alan, and Joe. Don't you egg him on anymore. He's far too eager to do wild things. Billy yucked silently at Joe and Alan. Alan made a rude gesture at him. So see, Mom kind of helped him out there. Mrs. Forrester, said Joe, what we really came about is that Alan and me are going up the Lake Lauderdale today with my father to fish, and we won't be back till tomorrow night. So we wondered if you'd make sure Billy eats the worms today and tomorrow. It's not that we don't trust Billy, Mrs. Forrester. No, said Billy's mother, smiling. But it's always better if there's a referee, like Mr. Simmons says at school, to save arguments and hard feelings. We brought the 2 worms. He held up a paper bag. We boiled them already, so you can just keep them in the refrigerator. Well, said Billy's mother, that is quite responsible. Are you sure I'll be neutral enough? I am his mother. Yeah, we thought of that, said Joe, but we figured, well, you're usually pretty fair, and besides, parents almost never cheat kids. I better stop there. Okay, I don't want to run out of time.